I always say this. If this is what we doing, how we moving with this, what we need to get to is we need to say, just look at what his track record is. And you tell me that ain't his guy. Because now I'm looking up and the quarterbacks ahead of him got moved and the coach is gone. Kevin House, AB drafted.
The Cleveland Browns just made the biggest bet in franchise history. And it's all riding on one player, Shedeur Sanders. While everyone's debating the coaching search, G. Bush just exposed what's really happening behind the scenes. Andrew Berry drafted a superstar quarterback in the 5th round, made the Browns a talking point on ESPN every single week since training camp, sold top 10 in jerseys, and now the entire coaching search is being built around finding the perfect coach to develop him. But here's what nobody's telling you. This isn't just about football. The Browns are betting millions of dollars in organizational value, marketing revenue, and franchise transformation on getting the right coach for Shedeur. And the evidence G. Bush just laid out proves this was the plan all along. From the moment they moved quarterbacks ahead of him in the draft to the moment Kevin Stefanski got fired, everything has been strategically orchestrated to put Shedeur in position to succeed.
Was a little down. I believe Andrew already done talked to him. Him and Kevin had a conversation. And, they probably put some things on the table, him and Kevin and Shedeur. But Andrew talked to Shedeur after the game and said, listen, hey, bro, we did our thing this year, but let's let you know that we got a target on our back next year. Because if we moving on from Kevin and you about to be the quarterback, then it's going to be a lot of people ready to write that why am I here? Why are you here? Why is Deshaun watching the whole thing? So we better get the wins to come with it. Or who's the next person that they coming after. And it only took a couple days, and that's who they's coming after.
Look, I need you to understand something right from the jump. When G. Bush says Andrew Berry drafted a superstar quarterback in the 5th round, made the Browns a talking point on ESPN every single week since training camp, and sold top 10 in jerseys, he's not just throwing out random facts. He's connecting dots that most people are too emotional to see. This is about money, real money, not just the salary cap or what they're paying coaches. We're talking about organizational transformation that's worth millions, maybe tens of millions of dollars in value to the Cleveland Browns franchise. Think about what G. Bush just said. The Browns became a talking point on ESPN every single week since training camp. That's free advertising. That's national exposure. That's the kind of media attention that money can't buy. And Shedeur Sanders is the reason why. Before Shedeur got drafted, when was the last time ESPN spent an entire segment debating the Cleveland Browns quarterback situation? When was the last time national media cared about what was happening in Cleveland training camp? The answer is never, not since Baker Mayfield left. The Browns were an afterthought, a punchline, a team that people only mentioned when talking about dysfunction. But draft Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round? Suddenly, every sports show in America is talking about Cleveland. Suddenly, fans from Colorado are buying Browns jerseys. Suddenly, the organization has relevance again. That's not an accident. That's calculated. And G. Bush just exposed the entire strategy. He said it explicitly. Kevin Ho/AB drafted a superstar quarterback in the 5th round, made the Browns a talking point on ESPN every single week since training camp, and sold top 10 in jerseys. Top 10 in jerseys? Let that sink in. A 5th round rookie quarterback is selling jerseys at a top 10 rate in the entire NFL. You know how much revenue that generates? You know how much that's worth to an organization? And it's not just jersey sales, it's ticket sales, it's merchandise, it's sponsorships, it's broadcast rights negotiations. When your team is relevant, when national media is talking about you every week, your entire franchise value goes up.
I come from the black community. Black people don't get starstruck. Some of us do. No, let's take it too far. Some of us be starstruck. But where I come from, there's people who inside your own circle is a superstar. Inside your own community is a community leader, and they don't do nothing. They got a regular job, but they the leader. You go to the hood, you go to the street, It's a guy you don't know, don't see him. He the dude. Anything moving around here, you got to come through him. If you want somebody in the know, you go to him. If you need a guy to do something, you go to him. What are we talking about right here? We ain't fans. Like, you got to think about this. I try to tell him the way.
The Browns aren't just betting on Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback. They're betting on Shedeur Sanders, the brand, the marketing machine, the cultural phenomenon that brings an entirely new fan base into the Cleveland Browns ecosystem. G. Bush broke it down perfectly when he said, "One of the things that I think people discount is that Jimmy Haslam has one of the most valuable organizations, and you mix the fact that the Cleveland Browns have one of the most loyal fan bases in the world." He went on, "You got people in England, Ireland, all across this world that is hooked to the Cleveland Browns, and you just plugged in that loyal fan base with another fan base of a guy that's one of the most famous people in the game." There it is. You're not just getting Browns fans, you're getting Sanders fans, you're getting Colorado fans, you're getting young fans who follow Shedeur on social media, you're getting international fans who know Coach Prime and want to see what his son can do. That's organizational growth. That's what Jimmy Haslam is really betting on. Not just wins and losses, but franchise transformation that creates generational wealth for the organization. But here's where it gets really interesting, because G. Bush didn't just expose the marketing strategy, he exposed the football strategy too. Listen to what G. Bush said about Andrew Berry's plan. "If this is what we doin', how we movin' with this, what we need to get to is we need to say just look at what his track record is, and you tell me that ain't his guy, because now I'm looking up and the quarterbacks ahead of him got moved and the coach is gone." Stop right there. The quarterbacks ahead of him got moved and the coach is gone. That's not coincidence. That's strategy. That's Andrew Berry making moves to clear the path for Shedeur Sanders to be the guy. Dillon Gabriel was ahead of Shedeur on the depth chart. Where is he now? Gone. Moved. Out of the picture. Kevin Stefanski was the coach who didn't want to play Shedeur. Where is he now? Fired. And who's still standing? Shedeur Sanders, the fifth-round pick who wasn't supposed to be here. The quarterback everyone said the Browns reached on. The player the media called a distraction. He's the one still here while everyone else got cleared out. G. Bush kept hammering this point. Kevin House AB drafted a superstar quarterback in the 5th round, made the Browns a talking point on ESPN every single week since training camp, and sold top 10 in jerseys. And then he added the kicker. If the Browns didn't believe in Shedeur Sanders, why would Kevin Stefanski have been fired? He would have never played if Stefanski was here, and if he would have never played, Stefanski would have still continued to be here playing Dillon Gabriel. Read that again. Kevin Stefanski got fired because the Browns believe in Shedeur Sanders, not despite it, because of it.
What? People talk about the Cleveland Browns because Shedeur Sanders is on the team, regardless of whatever he does on the field. That is a fact. And that is a fact when you have a high-profile quarterback that has millions of followers on social media, that people are interested. Guess what? At the end of the day, this is an entertainment business. At the end of the day, it's about entertainment, and it's about teams making money. Hate to say that's the truth, but it is. We sit here as fans, and we want to believe that we're in la-la land, trying to understand that, he earns this, or he deserved this. Nothing's given.
Stefanski lost his job because he wasn't willing to fully commit to developing the quarterback Andrew Berry drafted. And now the entire coaching search is about finding someone who will commit to that development. That's where the $1 million bet comes in, because finding the right coach to develop Shedeur isn't just about football success, it's about protecting the organizational investment they've already made. Think about it. The Browns have already invested draft capital, even if it was just a 5th-round pick, media attention in national relevance, jersey sales and merchandise revenue, fan engagement and social media growth, organizational brand transformation. All of that is tied to Shedeur Sanders succeeding, so now they have to get the coaching hire right. They have to find someone who can maximize that investment, someone who can develop Shedeur into the quarterback they're betting he can be, because if Shedeur fails, all of that investment goes away. The national media stops talking about Cleveland, the jersey sales dry up, the new fans disappear, the franchise value plateaus. But if Shedeur succeeds, if they get the right coach who can unlock his potential, then the Browns don't just get a good quarterback. They get sustained organizational growth. They get a decade of relevance. They get a marketing machine that generates revenue streams beyond just winning football games. That's the million-dollar bet. Actually, it's probably $100 million bet when you factor in everything. And G. Bush exposed another layer of this strategy that most people missed. He talked about how Andrew Berry gave an interview where he admitted they wanted Shedeur week 1, but that information got buried because people were too focused on other narratives. G. Bush said, "Did you see the slip where Berry told Siciliano they wanted Shedeur week 1? That was a huge point for the coaching search. Who likes Shedeur that much? Week 1, not week 6, not after Dylan Gabriel got his shot. Week 1. From the beginning, Andrew Berry wanted Shedeur Sanders as the starting quarterback, but Kevin Stefanski wouldn't do it, and that's why Stefanski's gone now. The coaching search isn't just about finding a good coach, it's about finding a coach who sees what Andrew Berry sees in Shedeur Sanders, someone who will commit to developing him from day one, someone who won't fight the organization on who the quarterback should be." G. Bush also pointed out something critical about the business side. Why you feel like, and I keep having to educate people, I come from the black community. Black people don't get starstruck. He went on, "We ain't fans. Like, you gotta think about this. I respect Shedeur Sanders. I respect Jimmy Haslam. I respect all these guys. I respect the whole Sanders family. But I'm here to talk about football." That's important because it addresses the biggest criticism people have about Shedeur, that he's just famous because of his dad, that the attention is unearned, that it's all hype. But G. Bush flipped that narrative completely. He said, "I always got to throw that on there because I think it's disrespectful to the foundation and principles of what my football commentary is. It's about play." Translation, the marketing value is real, the jersey sales are real, the national attention is real, but none of that would matter if Shedeur couldn't play. And that's the twist in this whole story, because while everyone's debating whether Shedeur deserves the attention, Andrew Berry is counting the money and looking at the tape. The money says top 10 jersey sales, national media coverage every week, franchise relevance that didn't exist before. The tape says 3 wins in a month and a half, 360 yards passing in his final game, fourth quarter comebacks, team rallying around him. G. Bush asked the question that exposes everything. Why would I not want a quarterback that can play, that's good for the community, that's genuine, that comes from a good family structure and background and can play football, and has sparked my team to some wins down the stretch, that's shown some promise? And then he followed up with the real question. Ask yourself the question, what are you looking at that the rest of us don't see that is such a problem, a distraction? That's it. That's the whole conversation right there. What exactly is the problem with Shedeur Sanders that would make the Browns not want to build around him?
It's a run-pass option. And I get it, they run that in the league, but that's not something you can sustain in the league. That's just not something they're going to do. And my problem is I want to see, and this is the hard part about any quarterback. When it comes to drop back, there's going to be a lot of drop back mechanics where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step, 7-step drop. And I want to see what it looked like in terms of reading the coverage. Now, the one thing that I'm going to give him credit for is his back shoulder fade is diabolical. Like, he throw the back shoulder fade as well as anybody. That timing. On the RPO, like, if you make the wrong
Plays well. He wins games. He generates revenue. He brings national attention. He has a work ethic that teammates respect. He comes from a football family. He handles media professionally. So what's the problem? Why wouldn't you bet everything on finding the right coach to develop him? The answer is, there is no problem. The only problem is people's feelings about him being famous, about him being Deion Sanders' son, about him being confident, about him being successful despite falling to the 5th round. G. Bush addressed this directly when he talked about the media's treatment of Shedeur versus other quarterbacks. Why was you interviewing Shedeur when Dylan was the starter? We didn't hear about what backwards hat Dylan wore. We know why. We absolutely know why. The double standard is real. Other quarterbacks get grace for struggling with bad offensive lines. Shedeur gets blamed. Other quarterbacks get credit for wins with good supporting casts. Shedeur gets called a product of his dad's coaching. But Andrew Berry isn't listening to that noise. He's looking at the numbers, and the numbers say betting on Shedeur Sanders is the smartest organizational decision the Browns have made in decades. G. Bush even pointed out the business comparison. Think about this. If they had a problem with Deshaun Watson, you think he would be showing up at his family gatherings? You think Haslam's wouldn't be pulling up at this man's wedding? Translation: if ownership didn't believe in Shedeur, they wouldn't be integrating him into the organizational family the way they have. They wouldn't have fired Stefanski. They wouldn't be conducting a coaching search with Shedeur's development as the primary criteria. Everything, absolutely everything about this coaching search is designed to find the right coach for Shedeur Sanders, and that's a multi-million-dollar bet on organizational transformation. G. Bush said it best. Now people have opportunities to go to other places and seek out the information that they want, and I think it's a big part of what it is now. The Browns aren't just betting on Shedeur the quarterback, they're betting on Shedeur the content generator, the social media presence, the cultural icon who brings new fans to the franchise. In today's NFL, that's worth millions, maybe tens of millions, maybe more. And if they get the coaching hire right, if they find someone who can develop Shedeur into an elite quarterback while maintaining all the marketing value he brings, then the Cleveland Browns won't just be a good football team, they'll be a national brand, a cultural phenomenon, an organization that transcended decades of failure by making one bold bet on a fifth-round quarterback who everyone said they shouldn't have drafted. So here's my question for you. When a franchise bets millions of dollars in organizational value on finding the perfect coach to develop one quarterback, is that a sign they're desperate, or is that a sign they see something special that everyone else is too blind to recognize? If you want to stay locked in on how this coaching search impacts Shedeur Sanders and whether the Browns can finally cash in on their million-dollar bet, hit that subscribe button right now. We're breaking down the business and football strategy that everyone else is missing. Drop a comment and let me know. Is betting everything on Shedeur the smartest move Cleveland's ever made, or are they setting themselves up for another decade of disappointment? Let's talk about it.